Lisa Brady. I'm the superintendent in Dobbs Ferry, welcoming you to this edition of District Dialogue. I'm extremely pleased to be joined today by Elizabeth Hobson, who is the new director of the Dobbs Ferry Library, Public Library. Elizabeth, welcome to our show.
Thank you so much for having me.
And we're thrilled to have a new library director in Dobbs Ferry, and I know that you are coming to us with some high quality, wonderful experience in Nyack. So
Yeah.
how's it going?
It's going really well. It's really fantastic. I felt so welcomed here, and Dobbs Ferry, while I'm not very familiar with the town, I've been through every now and then, but it feels very comfortable because it's very similar, kind of village centric, same way Nyack is, Rivertown.
Yes.
I keep telling people I'm bookending my career with, I started on Nyack and now I'm at Dobbs Ferry.
Yes.
Wave at each other.
Yeah, yes. And the library, the Dobbs Ferry Library is such a beautiful location for any library.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. It's really nicely laid out. I think there's, the space that's available in there on a compact piece of land.
Yes, it is. Mm-hmm.
Is really nicely done. And when I spend some time up on the reference desk and in the children's room each week, and it's a really comfortable place. I think the community finds it really comfortable. There's always people upstairs, quietly studying or on their computers. I know there's a guy I watch every time I'm up there. He's doing research, and I just love that. I love to see people using their library the way they're intended to do. The children's room is boisterous. There's babies and toddlers and preschoolers, and everybody is in there, and they love it. It's a place of community. And I'll just go on and on. But then the last kind of focus place I want to say is the periodicals room is that beautiful little sort of lounge area that overlooks the river. And we have people that come in and read there every day. Some read the papers. Some come in and just read their novels there. It's like that's their reading room. And it really feels owned by the community, and I love that. That's as it should be.
It's interesting. My family lives in Lambertville, New Jersey, and so they've been having some conversations about the library and perhaps doing something with one of the elementary schools and merging and maybe that space possibly being a library. My brother said to me, well, who goes to the library anymore? And I thought, oh my heavens, a lot of people go to the library. And so is that something that you kind of battle in some ways?
Every day with every person who hears you're a librarian, aren't libraries dead?
Yeah.
Didn't the internet kill the libraries? And it's so not true. In fact, one of the most interesting things I read, there is I don't know if you're familiar with the Pew reports.
Sure.
Yeah, they did a report on people's usage of libraries, and millennials, the 18 to 30s, are some of the highest users of libraries right now today. And here you think of a generation that has basically been brought up on the internet, on technology, and they're the biggest users. They're the biggest supporters of libraries right now. The library board right now it's fascinating. It's such a young board, and they are so passionate about this library. It's been fantastic. That's been one of my favorite things about coming over here. That and the staff, who is a really tight unit.
That's fascinating that the young millennials are actually as active with the library. Why do you think that is?
Oh, that's a good question. I think for one thing, particularly with our board, there are a lot of young families who really appreciate having a resource in the community for pre-elementary literacy training, socialization. The public libraries are very the word I want? Egalitarian, you know? And so while you may send your child to a particular nursery school that is wonderful and gives them a particular surrounding, the public library is a way to expose them to a wider world. You know, it's not limited by anything really. It's not limited by economics. It's not limited by social status. Everyone's welcome. And, you know, I think the people that go into librarianship are that way. They want to serve. They want to serve everyone and make sure that everyone in the community feels welcome there.
I think too that, you know, I have some young families in my apartment building, especially when I was living in Ridge Hill, and I want to say 2 or 3 days a week, they would take the girls to the library. I mean, they would take because the programs, as you just indicated, are allowing kids to interact with other children that may not live in their neighborhood, or maybe they do live in their neighborhood, but not like on my street, right?
Right.
So, but I'm not really in school yet, you know, to where those are my classmates, but they may be my classmates.
And those social aspects of the social piece of early literacy is really important. You know, listening to songs helps us, you know, it helps us divide up words into syllables. They're all these little building blocks on literacy, so that when those kids, some of whom might be going to nursery schools, but others may not, this might be their only exposure to those kinds of early literacy building blocks, they're that much further along when they get into kindergarten. You know, they really have the opportunity to learn some of those skills beforehand. Both literacy and social, meeting other people. How do you sit in a group?
Sure.
You know, I mean, I can hear the kindergarten teachers saying, "Thank you."
Yes, of course.
Because it's true. You know, you don't naturally, children don't naturally come to that. They have to see it. They have to have it modeled for them, and they have to practice it themselves. Yeah.
You know what else is I also find interesting? I read a lot. As we discussed a little bit before we sat down. And so I realize that with many of the people I read with, so we pass around book titles, and I'm a prolific reader of fiction, actually, and I'm branching out to do more memoirs and more nonfiction. But how many people still get their books from the library, or they or using the electronic resource, you know, as well? But that's still a pretty big staple, right, for the community.
Absolutely, and it's really important to have that. As you said, as you mentioned, you know, Borders is no more. Yes. You kind of have to go hunting for a good Barnes and Noble. And as the Westchester Library System, which is our system of everything in Westchester, all the libraries in Westchester, through them we access lots of different kinds of applications for e-content. We have Hoopla, that is you can download music, audio books, regular books. Total Books is another one. And we have several. Our newest one, and I'm kind of not answering your question about the people using things, because one of our struggles at the library, or not struggles, but a mission that we have, is to upgrade our website, because it's a little difficult to find some of the great things that we have to offer people right now. Circling back to books, I will say the thing about not having as many bookstores is a lot of people like to browse, like to hold a book, open it up, look at the first page or so, and that's really how they choose their books. And if libraries are the only place where you're going to really have access in each community, in your community where you live, you don't have to travel to Scarsdale or Yonkers or wherever else.
The mall.
Right? Right here in your little town, you can go and browse books. That's really important, and that's what our patrons appreciate about us. I actually had someone leave, one of the clerks at the library left me a note saying, this lady says she wants more books to choose from.
Oh, yeah.
Unfortunately, I think she came in when we had just weeded the new books and put them upstairs,
Right,
getting ready for a new batch of them to come
Right.
out. But, that's the kind of thing you love to hear. You're not giving us enough books.
Right.
We
right,
want more books.
Right.
To get back to the online things, I had an interesting contact with one of your students, I believe, who's in a film class here.
Oh, sure.
And I was in my office, and he was out at the circulation desk, and I guess he had an overdue and needed to pay a fine, and the clerks were talking to him. And I overheard that he was interested in getting more DVDs because he was in a film class. I was like, ding, ding, ding. And I literally almost ran out, and I said, and I pulled out my phone, do you know that we have Canopy? Canopy is a film streaming service that has the entire Criterion collection of classic films available to you on your phone. It's amazing. And because our website was structured at the very beginning of website building, it's a little unwieldy, and it's hard for us to post the stuff that is accessible. And so it's one of the library board's priorities is to upgrade our website so that you can easily find those things that are so, unique, really, and available. You can pay for Netflix, or you can pay for Amazon Prime or any of those, or you can go to your library. You just need a library card, and you sign in with your card and your PIN, and you get
I don't think people
streaming
know that,
video. Nobody knows it.
Nobody
I know.
knows that,
I'm very excited about it.
Yes,
It's one of those
nobody
things
knows
that, and that's why I told him, and he was so cute. I mean, he was clearly enthusiastic. You love when you get in touch with a student and they're passionate about something already at 17 or something. And I said, now look. And he was like, "That's amazing! Oh my God! I'm going to tell my teacher about this." I was like, "Yeah, go tell your teacher about this. Tell every one of your students in your class. Get your library card and look what you can do from your phone at home, on the bus, wherever you are. It's pretty amazing. The content that's available through your library is amazing. People on." I always think about this, people on the train, they've got an hour both ways, and, you're carrying your briefcase and you've got your laptop and everything. How nice is it that you can download it on your phone or your Kindle or whatever, and you can get, there are so many wonderful apps. I'm sorry, I'm being a real salesperson here.
No,
but I'm passionate about this, about, the fact that, yes, we're all about books, we're all about print and literature, but we're also all about access, and we have all of these wonderful things. I would say 2 years ago, if you came into the library and said, I want to download an ebook on my Kindle, we'd have to take you through all of these steps, and it was like painful because the interface that we had 2 years ago was just not very good. But the interface that we have now, there's an app called Meet Libby, and it's like instantaneous. I mean, they finally got it right. This is the back end, the technical side of library book lending or ebook lending, but they did it really, really well. So where it used to be sort of torture, and you might have tried it 2 years ago and thought, oh, this is too hard. I have to sign up over here for Adobe, and I have to sign up for, Overdrive over here. And, This is one little app, and you're reading in 10 minutes. I was traveling to visit my son overseas, and I know at some point I said to myself, I'm never going to read on a little phone like this. I just can't do that.
I have.
I totally did. The whole time, over and back, I was reading a book on my phone.
Yeah, I have. I thought I always thought that too, Elizabeth, that I would never read a book on my phone, but I found myself doing that when, for example, I would be on the train and I would realize that I didn't bring my Kindle, but I have the Kindle app on my phone, right? So, I was determined because I was so engrossed in whatever I was reading. And you do. I mean, it's really not as challenging as you think.
I think I got over my personal hump of I will never read on ebooks when I got, after the series had pretty much been up to where the point where it was, I started reading Game of Thrones. You know, these monstrous big books.
Yeah.
And I got hooked, and I couldn't wait for the next one. And it was available for download, and I had an iPad at the time, and I was like, I'm just going to do it. And it didn't matter what it was the words, and I was reading it. It didn't matter, how it was.
I totally had that experience, too.
And I think a lot of people are like that. They might have their Kindle for one thing. They don't have their Kindle on them. They have it on the phone.
The other thing I started doing, and I said I would never do, and I don't know why. You know, we get these things in our head, right? That I would never listen to books, because I had this, if you're not reading it, you're not really reading it. And so actually our Board of Education president challenged me about downloading a book to listen to. And I thought, what would I want to listen to? I thought, I'm going to listen to something that the kids are reading that I know that I would never read, just not my genre, right? So I decided to download the first book of Katniss Everdeen is the I want to say
it's not Mockingjay. Oh,
I want to not Mockingjay, but at any rate, the first book in that series. And the next thing I know, I've arrived at home and I'm in the driveway and I'm not getting out of the car.
You can't get out of the car.
Right, because I'm listening to. So from there, I listen to a lot of books, but I read them and listen to them at the same time because I do spend time in the car. So that allows me to listen to it, and then I get home and then I'm reading it. Yeah. But you know, the interesting thing that I uncovered with that is that in books that are very dense with a lot of characters, because I can hear their voices, when I'm reading, I have a richer experience with the print part because I can still hear. It's almost like going to a play, where I can actually discern all those voices, and it helps to keep the character straight. Yeah. And so I have this kind of incorporated experience, which I like a lot, and I think just the whole experience of reading has changed. I want to go back to the website, because you talked about the website needing, because so many people do, when they want to explore anything, they kind of just go to the website, right? So, so you said you're working on that.
That's priority number one.
So if I have so if I have a library card, right, for Dobbs Ferry, and I go to the website, so what do I do? How does that kind of work?
So the way our website is organized right now is there's a bar on the left and a bar across the top. On the left, there are links out to the Westchester. So, for example, if you're specifically looking for e-content and you want to explore some of these apps that are available, you would go to the Westchester Library System. It'll take you out to the system, their website. They have a separate website. And I think it's Read and Explore is their listing of it. And they link out to all of these places. So you can spend some time, go in through Dobbs Ferry, you go to WLS, and then look at all of the offerings.
Okay.
They have an app called Press Reader, which has magazines and newspapers. I'm originally from outside of Washington, and I love the Washington Post.
I do too. I love the Washington Post. I actually get it on my iPad.
Well, if you get Press Reader, you can get it daily for free.
I am going to have to check that out.
It's really pretty cool. The only ones and they have the LA Times. I haven't looked into it deeply because I just discovered it. I'm like, oh, this is a great thing.
Yeah.
You know, for people that are news junkies, wow, there's so much available to you there. And you sign in again with your library card, and you create an account, and then you can read, you know, as many articles as you want. That's pretty cool. And it gives you the full front page. Like if you open it up on your phone and you look for Washington Post, it's today's front page. which is great.
So you're new into the Dobbs Ferry Library, and I know you were the technology in NIAC as well. So what are the things that, for our viewers that are watching, what are the things that you want them to know right now about the Dobbs Ferry Library?
I would like to say that, one, the staff really loves to help people. So if you have questions about how to access things, do we have this book? Could you put this book on hold for me? You know, the staff is really there to be your assistant, your guide. And so that would be my first thing, is to say, you know, this is really, it's your library, and those people are there to serve you. And I think that's, it's something that I can see maybe not needing a whole lot of training for. Some places, I started to talk about this before, some places you have to kind of get people in line with that goal. And your library is really seems to focus very well on customer service and helping people. I think because libraries are changing a bit, and we have moved, you know, the truth is print readership is definitely down. It's down across the country. Not that I think people don't read. I think people read as much, but they're reading in other ways. So while that's gone down, e-content has gone up. But some of that lends us to thinking about the library as a community center, as a center for the intellectual, sort of the intellectual embodiment of our community. And so what that means to me, and I think the board also is very focused on this, is how do we move into the 21st century and keep ourselves as a place that the community sees as a value, as you know, giving them value for their tax dollars. And so we're looking at maybe ways of possibly restructuring some of the physical aspect of the library to provide for example, maybe a tutor room. We have tutors that come in every single afternoon. I love this. This was one of my first things that I'd love to see. I'd be sitting there, and there's this one woman, and she works with a little girl probably a couple days a week. And she's sitting in the very center of our library with people walking around, and she keeps her focus. She's doing such a beautiful job at tutoring this little girl. But how much nicer would it be for them and for that poor little girl who's, you know, and God bless that teacher, because she is really working and doing a beautiful job. But, you know, without the distractions of being in sort of a fishbowl, I mean, that would be something that we've talked about. Maybe reorganizing the children's room so that it has a little bit more appeal and space for movement. You know, private tutor rooms. I'm looking at possibilities for using the space more collaboratively. You know, there's such a wealth of opportunities in this community for activities. One of the things, since the Embassy Center has been under construction, we have seniors that do their exercise classes in our meeting room now, and we love it. I think they love it too, because they're actually able to, you know, they get two things done at one time. They have their exercise, they can stop by the library, pick up books. So those kinds of things, really extending ourselves into the community and working with others in the community to provide more, particularly in services and programming, I think is going to be another direction.
Well, Elizabeth, it's been fascinating to talk to you today, and really we wish you all of the best. The Hunger Games is the name of my first Audible book experience, but we wish you best of luck in your new position, and look forward to partnering with you, with the school.
I have ideas,
and I'm sure we'll make.
I didn't get to one of my favorite ones. I'm going to run out of time, but there's a 3D printing idea I want to talk to you about at some point.
We'll talk.
Okay.
And thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
I'm
Thank
Lisa
you.
Brady. I'm the superintendent in Dobbs Ferry, joined today by Elizabeth Hobson, the new director of the Dobbs Ferry Library. Thanks for joining us.